Welcome everyone to the second week of our class. Hopefully your first week was good and you're smooth sailing, ready to roll into this next week. And first, I just want to address some questions that I had and some confusion regarding the executive summary. For the PE teachers and the strength and conditioning coaches, the executive summary should be fairly straightforward, but it can get a little confusing for the athletic coaches. Now, whatever you had is fine for your first draft. It's why you were given the opportunity to complete a draft. It's so we can give you some feedback, help you make some revisions, and then help you refine your executive summary. Now, the best way to approach your executive summary, and let's focus on the PE teachers, and keep in mind, first of all, PE teachers, in addition to your executive summary, you also need to provide a brief summary of the grade level outcomes for the specific grade that you're currently teaching. There are a lot of these. So just identify an area that relates to something that you're teaching and be sure you include that grade level outcome in your executive summary. Now, it's helpful, but it's not required to start off by citing exactly what the actual standard is or quoting the actual standard. And so you can mention something to this effect. Now, this is considered an introductory statement for your executive summary. You haven't begun to summarize anything here yet, but you're providing some context for your executive summary, and this is just good writing. And after a statement similar to this, you'll then begin to explain what this actually means, and you'll do so in the most simplistic layman's terms. And this is what we mean when we say write the summary so that a non-kinesiology person can understand the meaning of the standards. So you may want to first define physically literate, and if you've done any investigative research, you know that you can ask 5 different teachers and you can get 5 different definitions of this. Just do so as it relates to you in the standard. And then following that, explain what competency in a variety of motor skills and movement patterns mean. For some of you, you may need to identify some examples of motor skills. What are the movement patterns? How can a student demonstrate competency in these? And for others, depending upon what you're using for your artifact, you might want to address some other areas. Now, the challenging part of this is making your summary brief and within 2 paragraphs. If you have a page and a half of information, you're writing too much. If you have even a page of information, you may also be writing too much. So you want to condense your summary to explain the standard as briefly as possible. That's why we say 2 paragraphs for an executive summary. For strength and conditioning coaches, you're going to follow that same pattern as the teachers. You develop an introductory statement and then quote and cite your standard. And the first strength and conditioning standard addresses pre-participation, screening, and clearance. So in your executive summary, discuss what these consist of and why they are important as it relates to the standard. Again, if you find yourself with a page of information, you're probably writing too much. Now, for coaches, it's a bit more complicated. I'm just going to pull up the coaching standards from the SHAPE website and explain the best way to approach your executive summary. Now, the new coaching standards are categorized into 7 different areas, and these 7 areas are called core responsibilities of coaching. Now, within each core are the individual standards. In the first core, set vision, goals, and standards for sports programs, there are 5 standards. The second core, for example, engage in and support ethical practices, are standards 6, 7, and 8. So you can see how the coaching standards are broken up. For your executive summary, you are summarizing the core area as a whole. You're not providing an executive summary for each individual standard. All standards will relate to the overarching broad core topic. So coaches, for your executive summary, you'll provide your introductory statement and quote and cite the core only. So something like this can be a start of your initial executive summary. Of course, following this, and this is where it can be a bit challenging, you will summarize the entire core. Your summary should cover the contents of the standard, but you don't need to cite all 5 standards. Just provide a brief summary that includes the main content of each one. So you're summarizing the core and not each individual standard within the core. I hope that makes more sense and provides a little bit more clarity in developing your executive summary. Now, this week, you will need to locate an artifact, and this can be in just about anything as long as you can use it to demonstrate how you're meeting the standard. Usually for coaches, it's your philosophy, your coaching philosophy. For PE teachers, it can be the same thing, or it can be a lesson plan. But whatever it is that's going to show how you represent and how you meet that particular standard. And it can likely be the most difficult part of your portfolio because you'll need to explain what the artifact is. You'll need to explain how you use it within your profession and explain how you use it to meet the standard. And so you need to be sure you're doing all of that and connecting it to the standard. Okay, you'll also complete your first Courage and Calling reflection and your first progress report with your Courage and Calling reflection. So take a look in the syllabus, see the guidelines for those assignments, and as usual, if there are any questions, any concerns, problems, confusion, please do not hesitate to contact me. That's what I'm here for. Take care for now, and I'll see you online.